controversial bill that would require people to use school restrooms and facilities that match the sex on their birth certificates has been defeated in Texas, of all places. Now, the so-called bathroom bill failed to make it out of the House on Tuesday, which happened to be the last day of the state's special legislative session. The session was called specifically to handle this piece of legislation, and it failed. Now, this bill is, of course, Senate Bill 3, and had earlier passed the Senate during that same special session. Now, the bill would have prohibited people from using multiple occupancy restroom, shower, or changing facilities at Texas public and charter schools that did not match the sex as stated on the person's birth certificate, driver's license, personal identification certificate, or license to carry a handgun. It is Texas, after all. It would have also overturned local and individual school districts' policies on bathroom use. So even if you voted for it in your district to not have these bills, to actually have protections for transgender people, nope, this law is going to completely overturn that. Big government. Yeah. But thankfully, this bill died. Now, a lot of lawmakers thought correctly that it would result in the same kind of backlash North Carolina did last year when it passed a similar bill. Now, they ended up having massive protests. A lot of companies pulled out. The NCAA pulled out. And there was even some electoral consequences as a Democrat won the governorship of North Carolina. Now, Jody Winterhoff, Senior Vice President for Policy and Political Affairs at the Human Rights Campaign, said, "We hope that this time the issue remains settled. Texans don't want a harmful transgender legislation." First and foremost, these bills were defeated because of the many voices that came out in opposition, saying, "Don't discriminate" in the Lone Star State. Oh, that actually rhymes. It's actually clever. Luckily for Texas, this chorus of voices was louder than the voices pushing for discrimination. And look, fortunately, that's what often happens. Hate doesn't win. Discrimination doesn't win when the majority stands up against it. And luckily, not only did a majority of people oppose this, but there was also a lot of corporate business support. And that almost never happens. Major corporations had publicly opposed the bill. These included business leaders from BP America, Halliburton, yeah, Halliburton, fucking Halliburton, ExxonMobil Global Services, American Airlines, AT&T, and Southwest Airlines. Tech giant IBM also ran a full-page ad in local publications in July that said the company opposes any measure that would harm the state's LGBT+ community and make it difficult for businesses to attract and retain talented Texans. So there's a lot of companies here, a lot of them whom I'm actually holding against on a lot of other issues, especially climate change. But on this one, we can actually agree and actually give them credit. Now, as I've said before, this isn't a wholly altruistic act, because corporations, look, corporations, they're not evil, they're not good. Corporations are simply amoral. They're not good or bad, but they can do good or bad things. In this case, they did a good thing. Now, corporations, and the reason that I say it's not entirely altruistic, of course, that it's in their self-interest, is that they understand one thing. They understand profit. And if your company does not openly denounce hate and discrimination, we're going to end up losing a lot of money. Because it turns out, transgender people, their money's just as green as everybody else's. Weird, I know. And you don't want your brand equated with hate and discrimination. So it's not very complicated, okay? Turns out that a lot of Texans don't like discrimination. And that's actually a very good sign. So, however, there are some people that are not so happy about this, and this is Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Now, in an angry press conference on Tuesday, he said this bill's failure to pass would hurt what he called privacy. Privacy. The Lieutenant Governor said Texans don't want men, we're not talking about transgendered, they don't want sexual predators who would use that as a loophole to follow any of the women into the restroom or in this room into a bathroom. The people of Texas don't want that. Well, most people don't want that. Fortunately, that doesn't seem to happen very often. But, so, let me understand here. So you want to pass this bill that says that people can't go into the bathroom of the opposite gender, okay? But you're saying it's because, well, we just don't want regular dudes going into the ladies' room. Well, we're not worried about transgender people, even though that would actually impact them. we're just worried about dudes going to the bathroom. Well, what's preventing dudes from going to the bathroom right now? Nothing. At all. No. Look. What this does is that this impacts transgender people, okay, who specifically have not been able to change their birth certificates. In fact, some people are unable to. Some states might actually have laws against being able to change that if you have transitioned. And it's not an easy process. Okay? But again, label it as privacy all you want. Say that it's just to prevent predator guys from, throwing on a wig and going to the bathroom, or just going to the bathroom whatsoever. Again, how's this going to stop that? Oh, no. Yeah, my license says male. It looks like that stops me from going into the bathroom to assault somebody. No, that doesn't stop that. No. Come on, man. Look, transgender people, they're not the predators here, okay? And men, for the most part, aren't running into the women's restroom in a wig to assault children or women, okay? No, when you pass laws like this, what you're doing is that you're forcing transgender women into the men's room where they're attacked and, more often than not, sexually assaulted. 1 in 2 women who are transgender are attacked. That's 50%. Half of all trans women get attacked in the bathroom. Yeah. Because if you're a transgender woman, you're in the middle of transitioning, and you're forced to walk into a men's room, what do you think is going to happen? And that's unfortunately what this legislation would continue. It would force all the transgender women into the men's bathroom. And look, we're not just talking about transgender women. What about transgender men? Having to walk into the ladies' room. They're transitioning from a woman into a man. So you've got this, person who used to be a woman, now is like a, burly guy. And I've seen a lot of pictures of some transgender men. They look like dudes, full beards and goatees, walking into a woman's room because they haven't fully transitioned or they haven't been able to change their birth certificate. Come on. Nobody wants that. No. Let people go into the bathroom of which they identify. That's it. Look, people like Patrick, unfortunately, they don't give a shit about LGBT people. They don't give a shit about that. They don't care because to them, transgender people are not people worthy of respect or worthy of protection. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.